What is up, YouTube? It's Kingfisher745, and we finally made it to the last of the new Uncanny X-Force Alternate Costumes. In this case, we did save the best for last, and we're looking at Uncanny X-Force Psylocke. Psylocke was already a very good PvP character to begin with, so let's see what this alternate costume brings to the table. Her Uncanny version comes in both Infiltrator and Tactician. On top of that, her new passive is called Butterfly Effect. This causes allied Uncanny X-Force members to gain Stealthy and True Strike on attacks. That's pretty amazing because True Strike ignores most avoidance effects, and then the fact that all your attacks are stealthy means that X-Force members on your team don't have to worry about protectors or counterattacks. Then you also have to remember that Psylocke's mental coordination makes her an amazing team-up, especially with characters like Quicksilver. But what was one of her biggest weaknesses? Well, it was the fact that she was an infiltrator, and she was very susceptible to attacks from Quicksilver herself, not to mention any other scrappers. Now that she has a Tactician version, that really eliminates one of her biggest weaknesses. So I definitely recommend that you get her Tactician costume, and that should be your top priority. This also gives you two very good options when it comes to Empowered ISO weight. You can use her Synchronized E-ISO to start the battle with mental coordination, or you can use the Quick Empowered ISO weight, and that'll make her buff action a quick action. Now as far as regular ISO weight, I do have a pretty odd setup for her. I'm going to start with Mercurial, and I'm going to use two of those, that's Attack, Accuracy, and Evasion. So now you can see her evasion is pretty high, but her health is definitely low. You could ignore this because, like I said in the past, the health gain from ISO 8 is pretty minimal. But in this case, I am going to use Steady, which is Health, Attack, and Accuracy. But since she is closing in on 1800 accuracy and that 5th bar, we're only going to use one Steady. And that's a purple ISO 8, so believe it or not, we're going away from orange. I can tell you that's not going to happen too often. But while we're here, let's go ahead and use some powerful ISO 8 as well. This will boost Psylocke's health and attack. And really you could fill out the rest of these slots using just powerful. Or you could go back to our regular approach and boost just attack, defense, and accuracy. There's really not a wrong way to ISO 8 your characters, and you know what you're using them for. Just to give a quick example, if you're using an evasion team and you want to dodge a lot, well then you should sock it for evasion. There are different ways to use different characters, and you can also go with the PvE or balanced approach as well. The only thing I would recommend staying away from is Stamina. Stamina is pretty much useless when it comes to PvP. Alright, and for this last slot, I did tell you it was going to be an odd build. I'm going to go back to some evasion, but then I also want to boost health and attack. This is going to require a prismatic gem, and it's called the Skillful ISO 8. That gives health, attack, and evasion. I've actually used this ISO 8 before when building a dodge team, and I put it on Future Foundation Spider-Man. To be honest, it worked out really well. Now the only thing left to do is for the team-ups that I'm going to use, I'm going to require the Quick Empowered ISO 8 over her Synchronized. And I'll explain that as we get into the action. The Quick Empowered ISO 8 is probably the one you want to go with unless you're using Quicksilver. When using that Quick Lock team-up, you'll want to get as many mental coordination procs as possible in those first two attacks. The Synchronized E-ISO is the only way you're going to accomplish that. Pretty much in all other cases, you'll want to use the Quick Empowered ISO 8 instead. Not that either one is a bad option, but you'll see why I say that once we get a turn with Uncanny X-Force Psylocke. Now as I pretty much have said, Psylocke is the best of the alternate costumes. A lot of that has to do with her abilities, especially mental coordination, and then those previously mentioned E-ISO options. But her passive is also pretty impressive. Making all Uncanny X-Force members attack stealthy and have True Strike is really valuable. This cannot be overstated for PvP. Just think of the fact that you don't have to worry about protectors, counterattacks, or most avoidance effects. It makes characters like Deadpool and Wolverine that much more lethal. Oh, and in case you didn't notice, on Psylocke's turn we got to use Mental Coordination, Kinetic Shield, and Still Attack. and that's because we equipped the quick and powered ISO 8. That's why you may actually want to go with that over her synchronized. The only time, like I said, that I switch it up is when I'm using Quicksilver. I suppose you could try it with someone like Hawkeye as well, but even though he can get the first turn, he only gets one attack around. So truthfully, that may not be worth it. Then lastly, before I start doing commentary on the battle itself, I just want to repeat that the Psylocke Alternate Costume should be your top priority. If you can only buy one of the X-Force costumes, it should be her in her Tactician class, followed by Deadpool, and like I said in his video, that is kind of a toss-up. If you plan on using him a lot, you may want to look at the Scrapper, but if you're going to just use him sometimes, then it's best to get him in his alternate class as a blaster. This way you have another option as far as team-ups, and then you also have him for your hero attack bonus. The last of the three, in my opinion, would be Wolverine in his Tactician costume. I'm not saying he's bad and won't potentially be decent in PvP. I'm just saying out of the three, I like him the least. Alright, so now with that out of the way, we're about to finish our first fight of 2. I do like this team up because of Phantom X and his boosted dodges. As you saw, Psylocke does have decent evasion, and we socketed ISO 8 for that. So when you put these two together, you have a pretty good dodge team. That could definitely be something worth trying, especially this season, when dodges seem to proc like crazy. With a really high defensive armor, you could actually add to your enemy's frustration. But moving on to our second match, we're going to be facing a very difficult team. The reason for this is because with a high defensive armory, dots and debuffs are my worst nightmare right now. Then I don't do enough damage to eliminate the threats fast enough. So hopefully we can pull this one out, and in the meantime we should get an extended look at the new costume. With Archangel I used Pestilence and put Nano Plague on 2 of the 3 enemies. Now I'm going to try to add Disoriented to their debuffs. We know that Beast only has single target attacks, so it's pretty effective against him. Unfortunately, this time he hits our Psylocke instead. Now using the quick and powered ISO 8, we're going to cast Mental Coordination. Then we can also use Kinetic Shield, but I'm not going to quite yet. Instead we'll use the Telekinetic Katana on Hank Pym. I wanted to make sure we passed that contagion. Alright, so he's going for another AoE, and this time it's a bug squashing. On Angel's second turn, I'm going to use his level 1, and that's called War. It places the debuff Pain, which increases damage by 8% and stacks up to 3 times. This fight is going to be a war of attrition, so we want to put as many debuffs on the opponents as possible. The one ace up our sleeve is the fact that we do have Fatal Blow on Psylocke's level 9. I have a feeling that's really going to come in handy for this one. It appears as though the enemy agent has the full Horseman set, and he's definitely not holding back from using it. On my agent's turn, I'm going to use our Tactician Empowered ability, so now we get 2 actions, and we can use the Light Fantastic as a quick action. I just wish it could remove debuffs, but of course it won't because of Pestilence. Next, I thought about hitting Hank Pym, but instead I used the Mystic on the enemy agent. Now I'll try to hit Hank Pym with the Warbringer Axe. Unfortunately, it looks like I'll do minimal damage, and in fact we do none at all. Next up is going to be Pestilence Beast, and he goes after our agent with Jekyll and Hyde. This time I do think I'll use the Kinetic Shield, and it is going to be a quick action, so let's use it on Psylocke herself, and then we can still attack with the Telekinetic Katana on Hank Pym. That's one character that's definitely in Fatal Blow territory, and Angel is up next. That means all we have to do is use his level 9, and that's called Death, and then with Fatal Blow, Hank Pym will be finished. Slowly but surely we are winning this match, but it's not over yet. The X-Oblivion causes tons of nasty debuffs, but Psylocke does avoid them. My agent will kind of return the favor by using the Improbability Field, and that should hurt the enemy team pretty badly. Then with our normal attack, I'm going to use the Axe on the enemy agent, but as you can see, we are obviously weakened. In a fight like this, every bit of damage helps, so this is going to go a long way. The good news is at this point the enemy agent is in Fatal Blow territory, so he will be next to go. Unfortunately, I do expect our agent to be finished as well. He's really accumulating the debuffs, and Beast is going after him hard. On Psylocke's turn, it's time for another mental coordination, and then we can use her level 9, which is also granted Fatal Blow because of Angel's X-Force ability. So 2 enemies down and 1 to go. Angel's death doesn't do nearly enough damage, so that would be a waste of time. Placing Despair on Beast wouldn't really help either because he's not going to resurrect, or heal for that matter. But what I do notice is the fact that he doesn't have Nano Plague, so let's go ahead and put that back on him. I had a feeling my agent was going to die, and dots do manage to knock him out. But Beast also hurt him and definitely takes him around that threshold of 30%. Add in the fact that Psychic Knives do quite a bit of damage by themselves, and that Fatal Blow is going to end the match. Now that it's Psylocke's turn, let's go ahead and finish off Pestilence Beast. That's also going to end our video. I really hope you enjoyed it, and I want to thank you all for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and until next time, good luck, and take care.